You guys, this move has been in front of us the entire time. And I have often referred to the PWHL as a startup, how it came together, how it's being run, and where it is today. This news should not be surprising. I was slightly even giddy when I saw it this morning. I was like, whoa. And then you have to go and look back. Think about it. It was right there the entire time. Not only with the league doubling itself in 2 years and adding 4 teams alone for this upcoming season, I've talked about the aggressive growth of the league. I've, it all tracks. You had Detroit being the first of the 4 to be announced, then they're hosting the draft. And I even said this in my podcast yesterday that it was definitely the Detroit show. And it was very elaborate in how it was being hosted. Like I said, you could not say anything bad about how it was presented, how it went down, the visibility of the league and Bless Hockey Town itself and Ilitch's holdings, influence and structure around this. And again, I'm going to go back to when I was in Ottawa last year for the draft and looking at it this year, even with the fan perspective on, this was highly, highly elaborate. This was very much mainstream. And this is what you would see in a startup organization as well. When you first see a startup come out and they're doing their events and they're doing their hostings of things, it's very capsulized. It's put together. It's one place. It's not going to be spread out. It's not going to be this big giant thing. But when that big giant thing does happen for a startup, that's because there's investor money coming in. And investors are not just going to jump in money because they're going to say, oh, you have a whole bunch of different fans. They want to see what from the business side that you can do, what's going to make their investment profitable for them. But they also want to be sure that they can also help you grow the business that you have for those that work with you and for the clientele, us, that you want to have in general. So yeah, this should not. They want to see how far investors, I'm saying, they want to see how far you can go, how far you can push before they give you that large investment. And they showed that. And it's actually even interesting now. If you go back and look at the press conference from Tuesday, 2 things happened. One is one of the questions that I asked Amy Shear, who is the EVP of Business Operations. I even couched my first question to her as saying that looking at the PWHL as a startup, and she did not disagree. And at one point during the press conference as well, she makes this kind of off the hand comment saying that she loves sports business. She does. She loves the business side. And here we are. Now think about it too. But sponsorship portfolio for the PWHL has grown 35% and merch sales over 50%. Again, that those are numbers that investors want to see. They want to see where this growth is going, what's going to happen with it. So, yeah, I am not surprised by this. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, and I'm going to put this up here in just a second, is how the advisory board and the owners of the PWHL in general are going to continue to move along. So they're going to oversee operations and strategic decision while benefiting from the expertise, relationships, and perspective of 2 of the most respected ownership groups in professional sports. Again, that's major. And that's not to say that this is going to be how it goes forever. I think this is just an additional step. I would predict that more investors will come along maybe in the next year or so. And of course, talks about whether the teams will individually start to be able to be owned separately. I think that's still a discussion. I'm sure it's being discussed right now. And maybe I see that in my mind as a 2 to 5 year plan. I don't know. Now, couple of the negatives that could come from this is that this might also feed into some of the narrative from fans and others that's saying that they felt like, yeah, it was the Detroit show. It's just does this lead into why Detroit seems favored in being the first team that was announced, but also how they were able to run the draft and who they were able to get ahead of time. Again, all I'm going to say is that there's always conversations happening in the background. There's always negotiations happening. You don't know. So I am not going to speculate on that whatsoever. But I will say that it's going to be out there. And people want to say, oh, well, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. I don't know. So this is good news. This really is good news, and I think that a lot of us had a lot to do with that. Um, Again, were there some stumbles along the way, as with any startup? Absolutely. But look where they are. So kudos, PWHL. You're making moves.